Hello, hello. Welcome to Dancing with Life, a podcast for joy. This is Jessica Avidable, and here on Zoom, I am featuring my friend Keisha Jackson. Hey, Keisha.
Hey, Jessica, glad to be here with you today.
Woohoo!
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Yes, awesome. This is awesome. Love your red. We are rocking our yellow and our red, our fire colors. We are bringing the fire.
Power.
One thing Keisha and I have in common is the last name Jackson. That was my maiden name, Jackson. So I'm Miss Jackson. She's Miss Jackson. We're like sisters.
Yeah.
That is so fun. And she's also Air Force retired. And I spent a few years in Air Force ROTC. So we have that in common. And then we found ourselves in this amazing seminar where we're growing and we're improving and we're expanding our reach. And Keisha, as kind of, a second career in life, is encouraging caregivers. And she suggests to us in a quote, I think it was Eleanor Roosevelt, that, if you're either, do you remember what?
Rosalind Carter, either you are a caregiver, you know a caregiver, you will be a caregiver, or you'll need a caregiver.
Yes. So wherever you are in life right now, there is going to be someone, and just about everyone I know has a parent who's going through health challenges, and they may or may not be living with them, but that's another person to take care of. It's another person to deal with. My mother's 81 and she lives in my house. So, I do her grocery shopping. I change all the batteries. I lift heavy things. I open jars. I am a caregiver of an older parent, and I still have small children. And I think of parenting as caregiving too. It's part about it. So, how did you get into caregiving after your time in the Air Force?
Well, I was still in the military, and I got into it I describe it as a phone call. One of my brothers called me and told me that my mother was in the hospital. And I thought it was a little odd because my mother and I, we talk all the time, but this time it was a little different. I got a phone call. I was assigned to the Pentagon, and I went up to Philly where she was at, and the doctor told me she had stage 4 inoperable lung cancer that had metastasized into her ribs. And so after I was caring for my mom, after she got out of the hospital, I eventually got her to come to Philly to live with me. And then after my mom passed, I was caring for one of my brothers. And so that kind of led to me becoming starting encouraging stories for caregivers, because I found that there were a lot of resources that I didn't know about, that I learned about, and I wanted to be able to share it with other caregivers.
That is so very important. My dad has Parkinson's disease. I know when that started about 15 years ago, my mom, was reaching out and finding whoever she could. And she actually ended up, adding to and running a support group specifically for Parkinson's disease. And so there's people with Parkinson's, there's spouses and caregivers for Parkinson's that meet monthly, which might not be enough, given that, when we're caring for people, there's changes, there's constant changes all the time. So, what are you doing? Like, tell me all the things that you are doing in this space.
Well, with Encouraging Story LLC, I say it's a multimedia hub that I use to encourage, entertain, and educate family caregivers. And I'm doing it through producing music for caregivers, writing children's books, blogs, through poems, through conversations, everything that I could do to try to get the message out to caregivers, or resources out to caregivers that they may not necessarily be able to get while they're caring for someone, because it could be a little bit difficult.
Yes. What kinds of difficulties do caregivers experience, Keisha?
Oh man, everything from fatigue to being misunderstood, truly to burnout, to just not knowing if there's financial resources available, to feeling alone. Maybe siblings aren't helping, maybe spouse could get upset, maybe children, like you mentioned, become neglected, their health become neglected, they're taking time off work. I mean, the list goes on.
That is a really long list, and it's about self-care. Like becoming a caregiver, someone else's needs might seem more immediate than your.
Oh, without a doubt.
Things can get out of balance.
Yeah, definitely. I could just go all night about that. Even when I was caring for my mom, I went 3.5 years on 2 hours of sleep, but it was worth it. It was so worth it.
Well, it's what there was for you to do,
Yeah.
right? And I think we share, it's like that's what there was to do, and that's
Yeah.
what you did. And some people might have a hard time transitioning from a life where they were kind of doing their own thing to then having to adjust their schedule
Yeah.
to accommodate someone. And another major thing, I know my mom went through this when my dad was falling and whatnot, at home, as is like PTSD, like
Oh, yeah.
times where he was like so angry and so grumpy and yelling at her, and she was just stuck, kind of dealing with that. And it was really hard to, when he finally went into care, for her to kind of calm down and like be able to sleep, because
Yeah, I think that's kind of say like, you're the primary caregiver when that person kind of goes off on you. It doesn't happen all the time, but it's very common that you'll hear people saying that they're taking their frustration or their anger or their uncertainty, their doubts, their fear out on that primary person. So yeah, that happens very often.
Mhm, mhm. So you've written a couple of children's books. Have you written a memoir book yet?
This is my first children's book that I'm writing right now. I have not published it yet. I've written poems, and then I have started producing music. I produced maybe about 3 songs so far for caregiving. I have a couple in the vault that I'm waiting to release, and do a couple other things as well. So
That is phenomenal. Do you
yeah.
sing on these albums or play an instrument?
No, I don't sing on these. I mean, I sing a little bit, but I don't sing on these. I mean, I'm also doing a radio show. I am the guest panelist for a radio show, and it's for veterans, for caregivers. And then I also write an article for a newspaper out of Chicago. It's about the topics that I do on caregiving
Oh my gosh,
for the
we will
radio
put
show.
all of these links in the show note, because find Keisha anywhere books are sold. I mean, you can just find her anywhere. Okay. Oh my gosh, you are truly multimedia. That is incredible. So this is a podcast for joy. How important is joy to you, and how does it fit into the work you're doing?
Well, joy is everything. And even with the encouraging stories, I believe that encouraging is a part of joy. And so joy comes you need it for yourself, you need it for the person that you're caring for, or you need it for the caregiver. But again, as the caregiver, a lot of times you're not going to get that joy necessarily from someone else because you're in it, but you got to find something to hold on to care for yourself and to have joy, even within yourself. And that is me. I'm pretty upbeat. So.
For sure. And I love that there's music.
Yeah.
Because music can dance the soul and move the
Yeah.
emotions the way your mind may not be ready to. If you're
Yeah.
overwhelmed or stressed or exhausted, that
Mhm.
music can bring you out.
Oh, most
Children's
definitely.
books, hello, teach the youth, teach them as they need to go. So it seems like, you're helping people elevate joy in a lot of different ways. Do you want to share your poem? One of your
Sure. I can, I'll read my poem.
Cool.
This is my poem that I titled, You're a Caregiver. I want you to know I see you getting tired. I want you to know I can feel your weight. I want you to know I can hear you thinking, how much more can I take? Hold on, be strong. Don't quit, don't give up, don't give in. Even when decisions you make break your heart, remember you're a caregiver. Remember you're a caregiver. There are arms open to hug your fears. There's a breeze stirring to dry your tears. There's a rainbow coming to brighten your world. There are oceans calming to give you a pearl. Remember you're a caregiver. Remember you're a caregiver. There are raindrops falling to water your bloom. There are waves parting to give you some room. There are trees bending that owe you shade. There is time waiting for the sacrifices you've made. Remember, you're a caregiver. Remember, you're a caregiver.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
No, thank you, Jessica.
That could totally be a song too.
Yeah, that's where the first song, one of the songs that was released, it was the instrumental came from the lyrics from this poem.
Okay, so there isn't an actual song with that though.
There is the song, so the full song, I just never released it. I released the instrumental version of it, and I'm waiting because one of the things that I didn't mention as well, I've also written a screenplay, and so yeah, and so
She still doesn't sleep.
And so I've been kind of waiting and picking and choosing and what I'm releasing. And then there's some other songs that I have that I'm going to be producing, one for dementia and one for to touch on mental illness and different things like that. So yeah,
It's really, really important to be
yeah, yeah.
helping people in the whole spectrum of all of this. Wow. What haven't you told us?
Mm, I really appreciate, first of all, your time for allowing me to be on your show. I think you are absolutely incredible and you make me feel joy just being in your presence. So I want to thank you for that. And I do want to say to anyone out there that is a caregiver, know a caregiver, will be a caregiver, or may need a caregiver, I want you to know, just like I said in my poem, that there are arms waiting to hug you, that you're not alone, that you're not by yourself. And whether it's you go to like my website, Encouraging Stories LLC, or yourcaregiver.com, or to just connect with your local community or someone to know that you are not in this by yourself. And there are a lot of resources that are out there that can help you.
That is phenomenal. This another slogan that comes to mind is, it takes a village,
Yeah,
to raise kids. It also takes a village to age. I mean, we
yeah, yeah,
used to live better in communities where there were multiple generations in a household.
yeah, most definitely.
And that, we've gotten away from that. Everybody can go buy their own house, but then we kind of end up back together sometimes.
Back together. You think about COVID, this is a perfect example of people that didn't even think that they would be caregiving are now caregivers, or children are now caregivers, that although their children already are, but just the different things that have come out of COVID.
Yeah, lots of home time together, lots of
Yeah,
cross generation stuff, and
yeah,
and I really like it. I like my mom being here. I like that I can look after her, and I like that I can help her with a lot of things. And
yeah. Home care is probably one of the best cares. And even aside, there could be hospital, nursing home, and you're not knocking anything because everything has its place. But when you're right in your home with your family, it even helps the person that you're caring for. So yeah, that's really good.
absolutely, I love it. I love it. How can we learn more about you? What platforms are you using to keep us informed of all your multimedia events?
Well, if you want to go to encouragingstoriesllc.com or youracaregiver.com, that is the best way to get in touch with me, to learn more about what I am doing, and hopefully maybe to even partner with me or share some information. I am definitely open, and I love to talk about caregiving and to be able to share information with others as well.
That is fantastic. And I have a book idea to talk to you about too.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Wonderful. I love this. The title of the podcast is Dancing with Life. Right.
Yeah,
I believe that I'm a soul in a body, and I am here for a small amount of time in the
yeah, most
whole scheme of things. And while I'm here, I'm going to be dancing. Some people come into my life, some people go out of my life, and my circles are kind of, swirling in and
definitely.
out. And really feel blessed that I have the time to, be with my mom and, visit
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
have that time. If you live far away from your parents, this is a PSA. If you live far away from your parents, consider moving them closer, because
Yeah.
they are going to age.
And if you can, because sometimes they don't want to, learn things like maybe their pen, who's their doctor, get that information. So if you're even doing it long distance,
Mhm,
you have that information, because believe me, it can really be a challenge
mhm,
when you don't have that information. Yeah. And
mhm.
then, like Jessica said earlier, as a caregiver, it's so important. Please, please make sure you take time out for yourself. I know it's difficult, but please do it.
Absolutely. Well,
Mhm.
thank you,
Thank
Keisha. And we'll
you,
put all these
Jessica.
in the show notes, and we'll catch you on the radio, I guess, and the
Yeah.
movie screen and the bookstore. And
Yeah.
we'll just say we knew you.
Oh, no, no, not we knew, we know, and we're
We
doing
know
this
her. I
together.
know her. That's my sister. That's my sister, Miss Jackson.
That's right.
All right, honey. I'm going to say good night.